Imagine you are strolling down the street and out of nowhere, you spot a crumpled $100 bill lying on the ground. It's an unexpected surprise, a quick lift to your mood, maybe even a boost to your day. But now, picture the opposite scenario. As you reach for your wallet, you realize that you've accidentally lost a $100 bill somewhere along the way. The disappointment stings far more than the fleeting happiness of finding it. This disproportionate reaction is loss aversion at work, a cognitive bias that causes the pain of loss to weigh more heavily than the pleasure of equivalent gain. At the core of loss aversion is an interesting imbalance. Losing tends to feel twice as painful as gaining feels good. Humans often prefer avoiding losses over acquiring gains, even if the potential benefits are substantial, often leading to conservative choices that preserve the status quo. The result? We may cling to what we have rather than risk it for something new, rationalizing that it's better not to lose what we already hold than to try for a modest gain. Whether we're managing finances, maintaining relationships, or making career decisions, loss aversion shows up in countless ways, often curbing our potential. The grip of loss aversion becomes particularly intense when finances are involved. The possibility of losing money can deter people from sound financial investments that could offer substantial long-term returns. For example, someone considering investing in the stock market might shy away due to the fear of potential losses, even if the potential for gain is considerable. As the stakes rise, so does the influence of loss aversion. Investors might hold on to failing assets, hoping to avoid loss, or forego opportunities that could improve their financial standing. This mindset can hinder financial growth, especially when short-term stability takes precedence over potential long-term wealth accumulation. The phenomenon is so prevalent that it has its own term, myopic loss aversion, referring to the bias toward minimizing short-term losses at the expense of long-term gains. And while such caution can occasionally prevent hasty financial errors, it can also lead to lost opportunities and stagnant growth. Loss aversion also affects our social world in subtle but powerful ways. Friendships and romantic relationships often fall under its sway as we cling to established bonds out of fear of potential loss, even if they no longer bring joy or fulfillment. This fear can keep us from cutting ties that no longer serve us, even though doing so might lead to personal growth or happiness. Conversely, it can make us hesitant to invest in new relationships, worrying more about potential disappointment or rejection than the benefits of companionship. Socially, loss aversion also plays a role in a phenomenon many of us know as FOMO, or the fear of missing out. Imagine your best friend calls, inviting you last minute to an exciting night out. You've got work to do and an early meeting the next day, but the thought of missing out, of possibly regretting that missed experience, compels you to go, even if you might regret it the next morning. FOMO highlights how, driven by loss aversion, we prioritize avoiding regret over rational choices, letting the potential loss of an experience outweigh the sensible decision to skip it. Career decisions provide another rich field where loss aversion rears its head. Many stay in unfulfilling jobs or delay pursuing better opportunities simply because the prospect of losing the comfort of familiarity outweighs the potential benefits of change. As we accumulate time, skills, and relationships in a job, the fear of loss can keep us bound to it, even when a new opportunity could be far more rewarding. This self-reinforcing loop, where the fear of losing security traps individuals in an unsatisfying position, shows how potent loss aversion can be in stifling growth. The comfort of familiarity often outshines the allure of novelty, reinforcing routines that could be holding us back from a more satisfying career path. Beyond individual behavior, loss aversion has systemic impacts on organizational and corporate decision-making. Many organizations avoid bold changes or innovations due to the risk of resource loss or damage to reputation. While this cautious approach can safeguard existing success, it may also stymie growth, missing out on advancements that could propel the company forward. Some savvy organizations, however, use loss aversion to their advantage, crafting performance incentives around potential losses rather than gains. Employees may work harder to avoid losing a bonus rather than earn an additional one. Likewise, in negotiations, companies often emphasize the losses a party would incur if a deal fails, appealing to the opposing party's innate fear of loss and motivating them to act in the company's favor. Loss aversion, therefore, is a tool that, when understood and strategically employed, can influence stakeholders, clients, and even competitors to align with organizational objectives. Marketing strategies are rich with examples of loss aversion in action as companies tap into consumers' aversion to loss to boost loyalty and sales. Trial periods, rebates, and limited-time offers allow customers to integrate a product into their daily lives, making the idea of giving it up feel like a loss. Scarcity and urgency are powerful tools in this space. Phrases like, "only a few left," trigger the fear of missing out on an item, pushing consumers toward impulsive purchases. The insurance industry, too, is built around leveraging loss aversion. By emphasizing the potential losses and rare disasters that could befall customers without adequate coverage, insurance companies tap into our fear of catastrophic losses, even if the risks are low. Policyholders often commit to long-term insurance plans because they are focused more on avoiding potential financial disaster than on the regular payments they must make to maintain that peace of mind. Cultural values shape our approach to risk and loss, with collectivist cultures generally exhibiting lower levels of loss aversion due to the community support they can rely on, compared to the more individualistic cultures that lack this social safety net. Avoiding loss aversion requires strategies to manage our instinctual reactions. Framing decisions in terms of potential gains rather than losses can reduce our aversion to risk, encouraging us to make choices based on growth rather than mere preservation. Reflecting on the true impact of potential losses also helps put risks into perspective, allowing us to approach decisions with a more balanced view, weighing gains and losses rather than fearing losses alone. Ultimately, loss aversion profoundly shapes human behavior, influencing decisions from the mundane to the monumental. While it helps us avoid unnecessary risks, this bias can hinder logical decision-making, making it essential to recognize and manage. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe.